Based on the surveys that we have done, and also referring to the surveys done by different consulting companies, by talking to about more than 200 companies across the globe, we have come up with this particular conclusion that retaining the human touch is going to be very critical for us going forward in terms of learning, not just considering the current situation of COVID, but also considering the global trend in the way the participants and the employees across different companies have been looking at learning and the new lifestyle changes that's been happening. So let's go ahead and get started. So, how many of you have actually already started doing blended learning in your companies? Or do you want me to tell what blended learning is?
Yes, Rangaraj, please.
Okay. So see, when we say blended learning is the future, so blended learning means actually getting one or two different modes of learning to come in together and start, designing your course and curriculum in such a way that you use multiple forms of learning. So, like at a few companies, this has been a trend where we've been seeing that there are classroom sessions happening, and even in classroom sessions there are two different forms. One is your instructor led programs where for sessions where you have to for sessions where you have to have information download and share information. People are being using presentation based learning. That's one. Then the second form is creating an experiential learning, which also happens in the classroom and also outside. Then obviously you have the online or e-learning that's there. So blended learning here is the future when we say that combining all three or four different forms of learning together to form one course content, where we are going to, depending on the skill that you're looking at, or depending on the kind of the knowledge that you want to impart to your participant, you're going to choose and mix and match between the learning styles. So that is what is blended learning called. And that's why we say blended learning is the future, because that has to continue going forward. We can't stick to one form of learning and expect the participants to learn from that, because various surveys have showed that especially the Gen Z and the Gen Y who is coming in into the companies today are actually looking at the companies from a standpoint of how much am I going to learn and what is my experience when I'm learning. So that's where blended learning is going to be the future. Okay. Then the boundaries between professional and the personal growth is actually blurring. So what I mean when I say this here is, now as companies we have traditionally looked at doing, creating the individual development plan or creating a career growth and plan for the employees, and getting them to training across just based on this career growth plan and saying that where do you see yourself 5 years or 10 years. But the personal skill development was always only in the scope of the job that the employees are going to do and what they're going to look forward. Today, that growth and that differentiation is actually blurring, where employees want to grow as individuals, even if their particular job role does not demand that skill. And this is especially in the area of soft skills, not the technical or the hard skills. Okay. Then all companies today have to look beyond video-based e-learning. The video-based e-learning is not working. It's not going to work if you are dependent on it 100%. And I'm not saying this personally. This is purely based on surveys that's being done. Reputed institutes like IIM Bangalore have done surveys, and what we found was shocking. So what I'm going to say now is going to be a bit of a shock. Less than 1% have actually completed the course genuinely online. So when I say less than 1% have completed the course genuinely, means only less than 1% of the employees have actually gone through the course without skipping anything, completing the courses the way they are, and then taken up the service. Less than 1%. And less than 10% have actually marked their courses as completed. That means they've not even gone through their course completely. So it's less than 10%. Now, bringing in the human touch in learning is very important. That's going to be the future because of the way and the working process, and the culture in the way things are going to run in the companies and the way things are running across the globe. See, when we say the culture is today, a lot of teams are working in silos, and thanks to the geographical boundaries that have come in a lot closer virtually, and our dependency on the virtual world, the human touch is actually going away. So bringing in the human touch in learning becomes very important. Then the reskilling and upskilling will be a constant process. So upskilling, I'm sure all of you agree. But when I say reskilling, a few of you might have questions on why is reskilling going to be a constant process. So the thing is, various surveys have shown that the shelf life of a technology will be up to a maximum of 5 years. And with the constant change in the demand in the market, with adaptation of new technologies coming in, like say, more and more companies are looking at adapting to blockchain, cloud computing. Then with the mechanical and automobile companies, we have got the industry 4.0, where right from your supply chain till the sales and distribution level, we are trying to bank on the virtual world, where we are bringing in cloud, we're bringing in data visualization. Then there is adaptation to IoT. So, with all the latest technologies being adapted across all different fields, the employees will need to be constantly reskilled to ensure that they match up to your business needs. If you might have a question saying that if I have a new technology, I'll go hire a new person, but why should I spend time and effort on reskilling it? The reason why you'll have to spend time and effort in reskilling the existing employees is so that you can leverage their experience and the domain knowledge and ensure that they continue to add value to the company. Okay. Then the other thing the L&D professionals or the HR professionals will have to do is bring in a learning culture that extends into the work zone. See, if we actually plan trainings or your learning courses in such a way that people learn today, and the moment they go out of the room they forget it, there is no point. So the learning initiatives will have to be planned in such a way that they extend beyond the training rooms, extend beyond the computers, and actually get into their work zones. So for this we recommend a 70-20-10 model, where 10% of the learning for your employees should be what they read. Okay. 20% of the learning should be through experiential methods, where they get to experience the learning and they actually get to implement it in a simulated environment. And the 70% of the learning that they get should be from their actual work. So this should be the model that, if you can adapt and follow the 70-20-10, what you're going to achieve is you're making the employees constantly implement the learning and also constantly recollect the learning that's going to stay with them for a longer time. So now we have said that what needs to be done, but how should we actually prepare for it, and how do we actually ensure that the learning and the L&D function as such is prepared for what is coming in the future? So the first thing is the existing trainers need to be upskilled to build a user experience. So the reason I've deliberately used the term user experience here is your participants, that your employees of the company who are the participants, are your end user. So all the learning initiatives that you do should be looking at enhancing the user experience. Now, why is that? Why do you think we have said that trainers need to be upskilled to build in the user experience? You can either tell it out here or chat it in the window also. Now, I'm not going to move forward until you answer this question for me. Why should L&D functions look to build a user experience?
So this is going to be the state of, I mean, every training is going to be more and more user experience than the monologue teaching. Monologue teaching is the old style.
Right.
So how to build such user experience in the programs is the key, or is the target already. And I think for that, whatever skilling is there, that trainer should get skilled.
Right. So, uh, Prakash is Amit. I think Amit Prakash, if I'm not wrong, says to create stickiness. Yes, that's right. So, see, the thing is, an experiential learning stays with your employees and your participants for a longer time. One,
Correct.
and a good experience is constantly in their memory. So, what happens with when you build a user experience is you have implanted a learning that sits in their subconscious mind, and it's very effective. That's one. Second, just because they've had a good experience, they are going to go and talk about the learning and the experience they've had in the session with their other employees. So it helps you build your base and helps you get more buy-in from the employees, and more importantly, they are going to advocate your training programs. So that's where the trainers need to be upskilled to build a user experience. Then the second thing is what we are saying is the existing, classroom content needs to be re-engineered to accommodate real-time solutions. According to a survey done by Training Journal and Training Industry, what they found was more than 40% of the Gen Y and Gen Z employees are not looking for training sessions that gives them download and a few key pointers saying that, okay, these are the things that you need to do and this is what is the guidelines to follow. They are not looking for that. What they would actually appreciate is the training having more real-time scenarios which can be directly applied to situations in their workplace. So it's essentially they're looking at a simulated environment where they can try different methods, understand, get solutions, and directly apply it at their workplace. So this is where our existing classroom content needs to be completely re-engineered to accommodate this. Okay, and this 40% number that I'm saying is not just in one specific country or one specific state. This is across the globe the surveys have been done. Okay, so experiential learning is going to be one of the most important things going forward. Then identify learning champions. So how many of you are there? Is there anyone on the session today who's actually had learning champions within the company who are advocating what is the learning initiatives by the company and sharing their experience? Or do you want me to talk about who is a learning champion?
Yeah, what do you mean by learning champion?
Okay, so see, sorry, who asked this question? If I
Yeah,
Jairam.
Jairam, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jairam, which company do you represent?
TVS Motor.
Okay, so I'm sure you've already been doing a lot of trainings in the company for a few years now, right? As a TVS
Yes.
Motor as a company. Now, a learning champion is someone like say one of your employees who you've trained actually goes onto the floor and talks about the experience that he or she has had during these trainings, how the training is added value to the career, and influences more employees to actually come in and sign up for your learning initiatives, and
Mm.
also mentors them on how they should take advantages and benefits of the learning initiatives by the company and how they can grow in their career. So someone who can do that for you is a learning champion. Okay.
On his own, voluntarily.
Yes, completely voluntarily. Obviously, with the consultation of the L&D team, saying that you can guide them to, tell what they need to do, how they can speak, what is, they have to share if the employees ask. So, with the consultation of the L&D team, they actually do this voluntarily.
Okay.
Okay, so this is someone called as a learning champion. So if you have not done, please start identifying learning champions right away, because they are the ones who are going to be the key points or key people who are going to turn the way the initiatives that happen and help you in shaping up the learning culture of your company. Okay, then mentor the managers to become learning champions. So in your managerial structure, your managers or supervisors or team leaders, they have to be mentored to become learning champions where they can guide your frontline workers or the people on, the graduate hires or the individual contributors who are there in the company. Your your leads and managers will actually start guiding them on how they can use the initiatives by the learning and development team to grow their careers. So mentor your managers to become learning champions. What is the advantage that you get here is, previously I spoke about the 70-20-10 rule, where I said 20% is an experiential learning, but 70% is going to be the actual experience of what they apply in their work zones. So when you make the managers as your learning champions, what they are going to do is they are going to help you achieve that 70% of the learning by ensuring that they guide their team members in the right way to apply the learning of this session in their area of work. Okay,
Okay.
then this is the most important shift that has to happen for an L&D team. If you have any questions on this point, you can ask me. You'll have to start looking at training from a lens of an employee engagement and a culture building exercise, which is going to help in employee retention, and not just look at trainings as trainings. Because today the Gen Y and Gen Z employees who are coming in into organizations are looking at how they can enhance their skill, how much they can learn, and how are they being valued by the companies. And just the paychecks and the amount and the CTC is not the matter for them. So they have to be valued, they have to feel that they're learning something with the company and they want to contribute. So your learning culture in the organization is going to be a big key if you have to retain the resources that you've got as a company. So that is where the trainings have to be started to look from the lens of an employee engagement initiative and a culture building exercise, and not just a training. uh, any questions so far?
No.
I hope what I'm speaking is making sense.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Now, so what exactly do we need to do to achieve all of this? We have spoken about what is the future, what is the prep up that we need to make, and now how do we actually make it happen? First area of change should be your training programs. Your training programs need not just be an opportunity for information download. So when I say that, the e-learning modules which are shot in the lecture mode, where someone is sitting and speaking on the video and your employees are just watching it, or when you're doing a classroom session, if it's a one-way communication, training programs definitely need not be that. You're not trying to download information into the minds of the employees. Instead, enter, train them. This is the new idea that we are putting out. We have actually put out to the world, and there are a few companies across the country who have adapted to this, where you're going to entertain your employees while you're training them, so that the learning sits with them for the longest time. Okay, then streamline and collaborate to enable your trainings to serve as employee engagement initiatives. That's what I said previously also. So this is where we are now introducing a new method called as the skill cage, where we are saying that skill your employees and upskill your employees while you engage them. So your trainings can become wonderful employee engagement initiatives if they're planned in the right way. And that is where, you know, using experiential learning methods and getting in art forms like theater and gamification and music and many other art forms that's available in the market today are going to help you a lot. Okay. Then please save your employees from the screen fatigue. Use gamification and art forms like theater for your training. So the reason why we are saying this is, last week there were various news reports that came in which said that there has been a 40% rise in the number of cases reported because of the extra work stress that's happening and employees are working from home, and the cases because of the employees constantly staring at the monitors and continuously working. The number of mental breakdown and psychological breakdown cases have been reported an increase of 40%, and this is just in the month of April. Okay. And I also shared that the surveys by various institutions and companies like IIM and other institutions has shown that less than 10% of people are actually viewing the screens. And now with the mode of work from home, lot more employees are constantly being on and in front of the screen. So more sessions and more webinars where people will have to sit and listen and watch is not going to help. So plan even your online initiatives right now at this point. If you have to do trainings before the lockdown lifts, even your online trainings have to be planned in such a way that your employees don't face the screen fatigue. Now, this is something that happened in the morning. I'll just share it with you. So I was doing a webinar on emotional intelligence for one of our clients in the morning, and we used storytelling as a format. So while doing this session, at the end of this session, what happened was one of the employees actually wrote saying that can we actually do such sessions more? The MOOCs is getting boring. So you don't want that to be told by all employees. So create an experiential learning. Okay. And remember this, the content and experience are the pillars of building effective learning. So make sure that your content is to a level where employees enjoy and they understand what the learning is about. And two key factors here is your content should be shaped in such a way that it connects to more of real-time scenarios and can help the employees apply the learning straight away. And it has to build an experience where it is engaging for the employees. Is it making sense so far?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So Mr. Shanmugam asks, saying that during any training, normally there is a session. Is there any practice that sessions are mostly liked? Sir, experiential learning is the only practice where sessions can be mostly liked, where you have to bring in more of experiential methods. Say today, theater-based learning is one of the biggest keywords that's catching up across the country, where more and more companies are trying theater, not just in the L&D space, but also into various HR initiatives, right from employee engagement, employee health, internal communications, even to the level of technology trainings today have been done by theater. So theater-based learning is one experiential learning that can be used. And what you can also apply the science and principles of art forms to create activities and content inside your sessions so that you can build an experience for them. Gamification is one very popular, another popular form where a lot of trainings have been done through gamification. Okay, so any other questions you have at this point?
I have a question here. Now, how do you use theater in virtual setting? Because I have been using a lot of other forms. When I used to do the classroom trainings, I use art, I use theater. But virtually, it's extremely difficult because you don't see the person, and a lot of people, they don't even put on the video, so you don't know what's happening on the other end. So yeah, this
I'm
is
glad
a
that you asked
challenge.
me that question.
Yeah,
Because we'll be actually taking you through a process where you're going to experience theater virtually right now.
great. Okay.
So before we do that, I think it's time for me to introduce myself. As you all would have known my name so far, at least my name is Rangaraj Bhatracharya. I am the founder and CEO of WeMove Solutions, and we are a theater-based learning company. So about me, I actually started working in the IT industry about in 2005, where I worked in the IT for 10 years. I was an architect, quit IT and started my own theater-based learning company to actually revolutionize the learning that's happening in the IT world. Okay, so for the last close to 7 or 8 years, We have been using theater-based learning across the country, and also I am Bangalore alumnus, where I've done my entrepreneurship management program through IIM, and the survey that I was referring to was done by IIM in terms of completing the learning completion of the online learning. That was one of the things that I did as a part of my program. Okay, so that's about me. Now, I have actually done more than 2,000 theater-based sessions across the country so far, and we have reached out to, I think, more than 50,000 employees across the country. So we have done sessions across 17 different cities. So the reason for us to come up with this session was over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have been talking to most of our clients across the country and also industry experts to see where the industry is going and what should the learning and development teams do to ensure that we go forward in the right way. So that is where we started. We scheduled this session. Okay. So like this, we have designed various kinds of sessions. So we have done sessions on storytelling, emotional intelligence, or it could be about data visualization. Especially, I know quite a few of you are from TVS. If you are adapting to Industry 4.0 and you want to train your employees on data science and data visualization, then we make people solve murder mystery online, and data visualization can be done through that. So all the soft skill trainings that can be designed as theater interventions offline. So theater is a wonderful tool. A few of you were asking me, how do we create an experiential learning? You can definitely create a wonderful experiential learning with theater, and theater need not be restricted to acting. Okay, theater has got many departments, right from script writing to casting to production, till acting that we go in, lighting, stage design, set design. Like this, it's a whole big science of an art field. So what we have done is we have taken the science behind the theater and designed the activities like these, what you went through, to adapt to the science of theater and draw specific learnings. So these kind of sessions can definitely be done inside a classroom for sure. And it also with the changing time right now, because of the COVID and everything, these can also be done online, which will help you retain the human touch in learning. Even though your employees are there on Zoom or Skype connected to the session, but they are talking to each other, connecting with each other, and doing a lot of work away from the screens. So it will help you save them from the screen fatigue, retain your
Yeah.
human touch, and build experiential learnings that's going to stay with them for a longer time. So we have done,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
technological trainings can be done through theater.
Okay.
Non-technical trainings obviously can be done. We have done technology, technical and non-technical trainings through theater. Okay, so this was our intention of the session today. Hope before I get there, hope the session so far has made sense to you. What we have spoken.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So this was our intention of the session today, were to take you through the idea of what should we expect in the future, and how, as an L&D professional and as learning and development and HR teams, how do we start looking at the future and make sure that we are adding more value to what we do. Okay. uh, Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for your time.